rub your eyes and don't adjust your screens. This is Out of Pocket. It's really late at night. It's not in the evening. It's not in the morning. This is Out of Pocket Up Late after breaking NBA news. Trae Young has been traded to the Washington Wizards. Yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. And I have to explain really, really quick what is happening. So I am getting my show ready for tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Out Pocket's new time slot. And then this breaks. Trae Young has been traded. And I was like, we need to go live. This is, it's really hard not doing a live Out of Pocket. It really is. And my schedule does not permit it all the time. But this was something, because I'm shocked. I am shocked. Trae Young has been traded indeed to the Washington Wizards. Now, let me show you how much we were going into, and we're going to cover a lot before we hit the hay. And hopefully you guys are still awake for this breaking news as well. Trae Young has been traded, and I will get the full trade details right here. CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert are going from Washington in exchange for Trae Young, the 27-year-old all-star point guard. He's been an all-star 4 times throughout his career. And this was reportedly Trae Young's preferred trade destination. And he gets what he wants. Now, I don't love that precedent that is now set for the team and for the rest of the NBA too. If you don't want to be here, then you can request a trade. You can request where you go, and all of a sudden you make it happen. But let me show you how much work and effort I got into preparing the show for tomorrow at 6 a.m. I had went on the ESPN trade machine and was going through different scenarios. I went through some wild, outlandish scenarios, one of which being the other trade destination, the Sacramento Kings, considering Zach LaVine for Trae Young, swap for swap. The Kings are wanting to get rid of Zach LaVine. Obviously, Trae Young mentioned Sacramento. It could have been it. I went into some more outlandish ones. Phoenix Suns, pairing Trae Young with Devin Booker, as opposed to getting Dylan Brooks and Grayson Allen off the team. And then I went into some crazy stuff. And we all know that Trae Young will forever be linked to Luka Doncic after their historic NBA draft night trade. One of what's regarded as one of the fairest draft night trades in NBA history. Trae Young went to Atlanta. Luka Doncic went to Dallas. And while the Hawks have not had the postseason success that the Mavs did with Luka, they'll always be linked to each other. Luka Doncic traded away from the Dallas Mavericks last year for the Los Angeles Lakers. And so some of the trades I was going into were, okay, maybe this could happen. Maybe we could see Trae Young play for the Dallas Mavericks. We heard the Hawks were interested in Anthony Davis, potentially adding Ricochet to the mix. NBA trade machine didn't allow me to do as such. And then you have, let's put him with the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's actually put him with his very own Luka Doncic. And I went in and was like, hey, you could have Rui Hachimura as a big piece of that deal. You could have Vanderbilt in that deal as well. You could have Gabe Vincent, who is a very serviceable point guard, and you could have Dalton Connect, who has been rumored to be on his way out of the Lakers. Just need to find a destination. And then I also considered, and this is all what I prepared and uploaded into our StreamYard. And you can click the link in our YouTube description if you guys want a discount on your own StreamYard account. And even went into the Celtics, the Lakers rivals. And there you go. I had the Boston Celtics train away Simons and Hauser and really loading everything up to get Trae Young. And then let me tell you how crazy I thought this could be. I didn't think Trae Young was getting traded this early. I really didn't. These processes usually drag out, and teams look for what they can get the most of. But I even processed a Washington Wizards trade. And if you know Jason from 3 from Deep, he dropped a reel yesterday, and it was fantastic. Talking about Trae Young interested in the Kings, the Blazers, the Wizards. And I was like, I'm not even entertaining the Blazers. That'd be such a bad idea. Lillard going to return from his Achilles next year. Drew Holiday, a veteran point guard. They don't need, and Portland's honestly overperforming right now. They don't need Trae Young in the building. But I even mocked a Wizards trade. And I put McCollum in here because any trade that involved Trae Young was going to have a larger salary. So CJ McCollum was the answer right there. And then you have Corey Kispert, which the Hawks were apparently really high on. And I even sweetened the deal for Atlanta, getting Cam Whitmore, who was on Houston, and he's got a lot of talent, and he just hasn't found his footing. So I was like, okay, Atlanta, you're giving up a 27-year-old 4-time All-Star. Let's get something for you guys to hopefully build, because McCollum's up there in age. Corey Kispert will be in the building for a while. He's just 26 years old, so very similar age frame to Trae Young, but nowhere close to the production. Corey Kispert is not it. And here's something that could have indicated the Washington Wizards were going to make this move. Earlier this evening at about 6:30, the Washington Wizards ruled out Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum for tonight's game versus the Philadelphia 76ers. And that's the great thing about the NBA is there's games going on right now. The games are going on tonight. During this evening, the Washington Wizards fell to the Philadelphia 76ers 131-110. And I'm going to get into all of the craziness with this trade. But the Washington Wizards are 10-26. They're the 14th best team in the Eastern Conference, a conference that only has 15. They are the second worst team in the entire conference, only next to the Indiana Pacers, who would not be the worst team if they had Tyrese Halliburton healthy. The Washington Wizards have Alex Sarr. And then what else? It's tough to be a Washington Wizards fan, and I don't know any of those who exist, to be quite frank with you. But Trae Young coming to the Washington Wizards just defies so much logic. When when I was going through the NBA trade machine and looking at where Trae Young could land, I did the Wizards and Kings just out of obliging. But for Trae Young to go from Atlanta, who has been a consistent play-in team, they've been play-in purgatory for quite some time. For him to go to that, to the Washington Wizards, where you do give up CJ McCollum. Chris Middleton has shown that he is not the guy who was in Milwaukee helping Giannis Antetokounmpo. You have Marvin Bagley, who is getting 16 minutes off the bench. You have Bub Carrington, a young guy. You have Alxar, a young guy, but they are nowhere close to competing. They are nowhere close. And so with Trae Young going to Washington, I don't know why he would want to go to Washington, because now, guess what? He's going to waste the prime of his career. If you compare that with the Atlanta Hawks actually have pieces. They went out and traded for Kristaps Porzingis. They have Ricochet, who may be on the move somewhere. You have Dyson Daniels. I really like Luke Kennard off the bench. And you have Jalen Johnson. All of these guys are better than what Washington has. I'm not saying that Atlanta is a championship team. I'm not saying Atlanta's a playoff team. But they are in such better shape than the Washington Wizards. And is this Trae Young trying to be a hero and try to do something that former number 1 overall pick John Wall couldn't do, Bradley Beal couldn't do? Is Trae Young in conversations with people of wanting to live in Washington, D.C. and play basketball for the Wizards? Is Trae Young trying to recruit one of his buddies to Washington and try to form a big three? But right now, he's just a small one who doesn't play defense, who can assist and facilitate the ball really well, and can shoot the ball from three really well. But even this year, he's declined. Even this year, he has declined. He's only played 10 games this year, and he hasn't been healthy. And we assume part of this was also the trade negotiations. But Trae Young's having statistically the worst averages of his career since his rookie season. He was averaging a double-double for the last 3 seasons before this one, where he's only played 10 games. So, for me, this was a very significant deal, and it's not going to matter in 3 weeks because the Wizards are going to be bad. The Hawks are going to be bad. Who knows? I mean, Trae Young hasn't made the difference for Atlanta to push them into the playoffs. Instead, they lost their chance at the play-in and got the number 1 overall pick a couple years ago, and probably one of the weaker NBA draft classes. So for Trae Young to go to Washington, he's not a guy who can elevate a team, and he's going to eat up a lot of money, and he's just going to be okay being paid a lot of money and just coasting. The real story with this is Trae Young being traded to the Wizards a year after Luka Doncic was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. And if you see, because people say, yeah, this is the fairest trade on NBA draft night in history. Was it, though? I mean, Trae Young's a 4-time All-Star. Luka Doncic, incredible. But Luka Doncic actually got his team to the NBA Finals, could have won. And if Nico Harrison doesn't blow it up, and Nico's gone a year later, Dallas Mavericks might be competing. Steal. And now Luka Doncic is helping the Lakers to be a 3 seed out west. Trae Young just stays in play-in purgatory, misses the playoffs altogether, and now is going to the Washington Wizards, where he might not make a difference. And with Luka Doncic, Luka in that trade, everybody makes fun of what the Mavs got in return. But at least the Mavericks got Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is glass. Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. But when he is healthy, very rarely, mind you, when Anthony Davis is healthy, he's a top 10 player in the NBA, and he's probably the best defensive player in the NBA. What the Atlanta Hawks got from Trae Young was CJ McCollum. Do we need to clarify how old CJ McCollum is? CJ McCollum is 34 years old. Hasn't been relevant since Portland in 2022. Also, once he became a consistent starter in the 2015-16 season, he's averaged over 20 points a game. And guess what he's doing now? Less than 20. And the least amount of minutes played a night. CJ McCollum pretty much is washed. And you got a washed CJ McCollum, and you got Corey Kispert, who on a decent team is a rotational player at best, who turns 27 here in a couple months, who can't average more than single digits scoring. I'm at a loss of words for the news that broke. Trae Young being traded to the Washington Wizards of all teams. This is a bad move. I really don't like what Atlanta got for Trae Young. I don't like the Washington Wizards trading for Trae Young and eating up that cap space, because Trae Young's not going to make a difference for the organization. It's just, if you're loading up NBA 2K tonight, you're not even seeking out the Washington Wizards. You're just not. You're like, why would I want to touch that? You would be more apt to play with the Atlanta Hawks than you would the Washington Wizards. Let's be real. Let's be real. The only good thing about staying up late and covering this live is I get to sleep in a little bit tomorrow, because this is replacing OP in the AM tomorrow. This is wild to me. This shouldn't be happening. Trae Young should still be an Atlanta Hawk, or at the very least be on another team than the Wizards. This makes no sense. I don't believe for a second that Trae Young wanted to go to the Wizards, and I can't picture why he would want to. But the team's done it, and they could have gotten a lot more. I'm going to throw these NBA trade machines back up here, because we did the Wizards, and I think this would have even been better. Obviously, you get Corey Kispert and Cam Whitmore. But this still wasn't the best deal I thought we did. We did the Phoenix Suns. We did Dylan Brooks and Grayson Allen. Two troublemakers, but will bring a little bit of viciousness to the Atlanta Hawks. Seeing them with Dyson Daniels, nobody scoring on that trio. You got the Sacramento Kings, who are not they're not exactly happy with Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan, and they're looking to offload them. Do a LaVine for Young swap. Very similar salaries. LaVine gets a fresh start in Atlanta. Trae Young gets to be that guy on the Kings. Got the Mavericks. Okay. I would have tried to include Ricochet in this deal, and maybe another Maverick or two. But still, you get, when healthy, one of the better defensive players, if not the best defensive player in the NBA. You get the Boston Celtics, who Trae Young, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum coming back. That would have been a deal made for next season. You add Derek White to that mix, who is playing really good ball right now. Boston shouldn't be a 2 seed right now without their best player, Jason Tatum, or the Los Angeles Lakers, who in a pipe dream could have had Trae Young, Luka Doncic, probably the worst defensive guard duo in the NBA, with LeBron, with Austin Reeves, with DeAndre Ayton at that point. It could have happened. But instead, Trae Young is going to the Washington Wizards. And maybe I'm wrong. Actually, I'm not wrong. I'm not out of pocket for this. Were the Wizards out of pocket for trading for Trae Young, or were the Atlanta Hawks out of pocket for trading away Trae Young? You tell me in the comments below, and I'm going to go to bed because I have wasted 22 minutes of my breath in my life talking about a trade that will not matter in a month. It won't matter in a month when the actual trade deadline happens and we have like actual stars moved to teams that can make a difference this year. Wasted so much time and so much breath on this. It was noted during the Hawks game, and the Hawks actually won. Trae Young set out this game. The Hawks beat the Pelicans, which the Pelicans are the worst team in the Western Conference, but the Hawks won 117-100. And one of the standouts was second-year pro Ricochet, leading all scorers with 25 points and 8 rebounds. Mo Guy, double-double. Also had 6 assists and 4 steals and 2 blocks to add to that. Jalen Johnson, 19, 8, and 5. Dyson Daniels, 13, 8, and 8. Kristaps Porzingis off the bench with 13. Luke Kennard off the bench with 13. I have to clarify. The Atlanta Hawks are in a much better position than the Washington Wizards. So I don't know if there will be more details coming out about why Trae Young wanted out of Atlanta and why he wanted to go to Washington of all places. That is something we can look out for as a developing story here on Boom Broadcasting. But while I did hop on here and cover this news live, I'm sure Jason from 3 From Deep on Monday will have a lot more to say once he gathers his thoughts on Trae Young going to the Washington Wizards tonight. And you're seeing it scroll down on the bottom of the screen in exchange for Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum. The trade I put into the trade machine was even a little more generous to Atlanta because I don't think this is enough after you lose Trae Young. Not even a draft pick. And there you have it. I think what we can say is this won't move the needle for Washington. It won't move the needle for Atlanta, if anywhere but backwards. And if you look at who really did win the draft night trade between Luka Doncic and Trae Young, both guys are gone. But for the impact they had on those organizations, Luka Doncic was the home run swing with an NBA Finals trip and even just the haul they got back for Luka Doncic, which wasn't even really a haul. But if this was the best you could get with CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert, that says a lot about Trae Young, and it says a lot about what the Wizards, the Hawks, and the rest of the NBA think of Trae Young, who, again, facilitates, shoots the three, but cannot defend and cannot elevate a team beyond. But that is it for Outta Pocket Up Late. It was good. It was good to be back live. But we will resume our regular schedule on Friday morning. And we can't wait to see you back here. Trae Young to the Washington Wizards, everyone. That's Outta Pocket, and I'm out. Have a good night.